Welcome to Half Century Hangout, where different paths lead to the same table. I'm your host, John, joined by my friends and co-hosts, Luke and Chuck. We're three guys who grew up differently but became good friends with a lot to talk about. On this show, we bring our unique perspectives to the table and dive into everything from current events to life's big questions. We might not always see eye to eye, but that's exactly why we're here. To listen, to learn, and change our minds sometimes. So grab a seat and join us for honest conversation, unexpected insights, and a few friendly arguments. This is Half Century Hangout, where different perspectives make for better discussions.
Welcome back to the Half Century Hangout.
What's up?
What's up, man? We're here at Luke's garage again. It's our favorite place to hang out, isn't it, Luke?
I love it. I love it. And you know what? We got somebody else hanging out with us today.
We do. We got Danny with us. And
hello.
Danny's another buddy of ours. John was a little under the weather today. So, John, we hope you feel better and everything will be good. And Danny was able to step in, and we're happy to have him. We've had a lot of conversations with Danny over the years, too. So I think that even though he's not half century, I think he fits in pretty well.
Well,
you know?
Here's the thing. He looks like he's half century.
Yeah, he kind of does. He kind of does. Was the NFL draft last week and kind of watched some of that and some interesting things going on there with the largest human being signed to an NFL team this draft.
Was that
not drafted? The guy from Florida, 464 pounds. So he got signed, undrafted free agent. He signed.
My goodness.
Largest one ever. 464 pounds.
How tall?
6'7", I think, or something.
How fast?
Actually, he ran like a 5'4" or something.
Really?
5'3", 5'4".
Yeah, I saw his pro day.
Yeah.
It was pretty impressive.
Like for a big man, he can move.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's also a lot of those guys that are making less probably their first year in the NFL than they were in college.
Oh yeah, for sure. With the freshman pay or the rookie pay that they get compared to some of the NIL deals.
That's one of our topics today. Is a big topic is the NIL market and kind of what that means. And for those of you that follow sports and do it, I mean, you'll know what we're talking about. But those of you that don't usually follow sports, it might be something new. But we're going to tie it into some other stuff that goes along the way.
This was honestly the first year I think that I paid this close attention to the draft.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just a little bit of interesting knowledge. I'm sitting there watching the first round, and I think we're maybe 20, 25 deep, right? And I get this text.
Beers?
No.
Oh, picks. Oh, okay.
Picks.
Okay.
I get this text, Danny, from yours truly over there. And he says,
I might have been 25 deep.
How many Michigan versus how many Ohio State #1 draft picks have been going on so far? And what did I text back, Luke?
You said that you were blue collar or late bloomers or something.
No, I said we'll wait until count at the end.
Oh, yeah. But then you said blue collar, we win blue collar wise. And I said, yeah, you had a blue collar loss in there too. And I emphasized blue, you know, just to make sure.
There was a decent amount of Iowa and Iowa State people at.
There was Iowa. There was a lot. I mean, once you got through it, I mean, there was actually quite a few. And Michigan had a lot of undrafted free agents that were there too. But
14 Ohio State Buckeyes drafted in the round in the NFL draft this year.
Yeah.
Most of them the last picks, but that's fine.
they were down there a little, but you know, it's all right.
You'll
take them however it goes. You know, it's all right.
I think Kansas City got one. Pittsburgh, I mean, they picked up on Ohio State. They got our quarterback and they got I think our running back, Travion.
That's why Pittsburgh who they are, because they waited for later round guys.
Well, you know, and the other thing, then you got, you know, from back in the day in the draft, you know, you had primetime Sanders, right? Then you got his son, Bout Time. I had to throw that one in there. Sorry.
Oh, my goodness.
Couldn't help it. Couldn't help it. Yeah, I got to throw it over the bow. That's fine. But, you know, it's funny how you talked about not watching the draft as much, you know, previously and going into it now. But, you know, the NIL thing, you know, when it first kind of started kicking up, like 21, 22, somewhere in there, was like a $917 million that it represented across the whole thing and
across the college,
across the whole thing. But we'll step into that.
College football,
college sports.
Okay.
And now it's over 1.91 billion. And it'll be, after this next season, it'll definitely skyrocket
Caitlin
over there.
Clark took 80% of that on her own.
And it's one of those things where for years and years and years, it was one of those things where growing up, I was such a college sports fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I clung to was that I thought that the game was pure because the players played for their school. They wanted this, they wanted that, but the pros were getting paid. So I kind of always it was never on my big wheelhouse thing. Like I always kind of thought of it that way. And so then when it started to be the idea that there was money going to change hands with this, I have to say I was a little taken back by it. I was a little bit like, I don't know. I mean, you're getting an education at a great university
you're
somewhere.
Probably getting $250,000.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
just that, Yeah. But I think when it came down one time that when the Fab Five was at Michigan and Chris Webber had a great interview and he was walking down the street with Mitch Albom, who was a great writer from back then, who still is, and he was noticing because the Fab Five, were all over the place, right? They had his jersey in the window. Chris Webber didn't have any money to buy a pizza. And he's like, look, people are getting money off of my name and my jersey, but I don't get any of it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different sides to it. I've generally been kind of against it, but I think one of the things that opened up my mind to it, just especially in this draft, because we've seen and heard this draft, how many guys, like some big names, who will be getting paid less than what they were making in NIL money or even were offered in NIL money to stay this year, is that, and my son was telling me about this, was that maybe this will be the impetus for guys to stay in college a little longer and finish their degree, which I had never really thought of it. Kind of like, it's my kid. What do I listen to? Right. I mean, he doesn't know anything, but he kind of did. Like it was right. So Nathan, shout out to you, so it was an interesting one. And I think this was the first time that I really saw that. It's like some of these guys are leaving some money on the table. Yeah.
What was your initial reaction to NIL money?
So
Danny?
I guess I agree with a little bit what Luke said in the beginning, is that you're going to college for 4 years, and I know you're not getting paid, but you are getting 4 years at great colleges, like let's say Michigan or Iowa State, where you're getting a 4-year college degree, and if something does happen in the NFL, you can fall back with a little bit of education. But now you got like Caitlin Clark, just for example, who she's done with college, and she's going into her second year, and going into her first year, she's making more money than some of the basketball players that have been there for 10 years. Yeah. So I'm sure that's got to build a little bit of animosity, but I do think it takes away a little bit from the sanctity of college football when you're making, $3, $4, $5 million before you even get to the NFL. Where's the actual just playing for the game and being in college? Now you're worried just as much about, am I getting paid my money as you are, am I actually doing well on the field or just loving the game of football?
Yeah. I was forced to think about this when Maurice Corrett was kind of he got in trouble for the whole trading, paraphernalia, Ohio State Buckeye paraphernalia for tattoos. I'm like, it's a freaking tattoo. Yeah. 7, 8, 9, maybe if it's a good tattoo artist, $1,200-$1,400. And these guys got extremely penalized for that, 10, 15 years ago. And so I got to thinking that, man, there's got to be a better way, because you have these coaches who are making millions and millions of dollars. The school was making millions and millions of dollars. The heads of these different leagues, Big Ten, SEC, whatever, they're making millions of dollars off the backs of these athletes who, if they get hurt, it's over. Yeah. Like they're selling used cars or something. You know what I mean?
I think one of the things that brings it back a little bit to home is that stat from October of 2024. So just last fall. So the one thing that when we talk about NIL, for those of you who don't know, that's name, image, and likeness. All right. So that's kind of how it started, was the idea that if you have your name, your image, your likeness, if you're on a video game, if they're selling jerseys, if they're doing your name, whatever it is. Because remember, like before, you couldn't buy a collegiate football jersey with a name on the back.
Right.
You could get the number, but you couldn't get the name on the back. You would have to put that on yourself, right?
I forgot all about that.
You know, but now they do.
Yeah.
Now they do it. But in last year, the number one, so Division I NIL deals, the average was $2,618. Okay. So it puts it into perspective. Like we're hearing the big ones, right? You're hearing of the Bryce Underwood who's getting $10.5 million at Michigan to come there. You're hearing big ones, but mainly what it is that for that $2,618, the average total earnings of a D1 player last year was $23,000. So still, even with those high ends, most of them aren't making, these millions of dollars. Okay. They're making something that's going to, they can buy pizza, they can put gas in their car. They can do these things that are there. But I think at some point, I feel like the NCAA is going to have to do something with it because part of it at some point here is also the portal, which is something that we want to talk about as well. The NIL stuff, the money, you knew at some point it was going to happen. So really the only rule is that money can't come from the school. So it's donors,
Donors, boosters, whatever.
I mean, the guy from Michigan, everybody says it was $10.5 million. The guy that gave the money was the CEO of Oracle, which is like a communication.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's the company. He's the one that put the money up. Okay.
Wow.
But his money was basically put into the thing to go, but it's like he got 2 free cars. His parents got a car, he got the thing. They talked about what's the guy's name from Creighton? To get him to stay, that was a condo right next to Doug McDermott's. Like there's different ways to make the deals look the way that they are.
Yeah.
But putting it in perspective, this is over all of D1. It's not just football, it's everything.
The interesting
and
thing,
it's there.
The interesting stat I would like to hear is the Power 5. Like what's the average among the Power 5? Because
it's definitely higher.
But when you say all D1, I mean you're bringing in Ohio University, who there may be some NIL money there, but there.
Well, think about it here where we live, right? So if you look at University of Nebraska, all right. Part of where money goes, it's always location. It's like real estate, right? Location, location, location. So you got the guy last year, I remember whatever that cat's name was on the Nebraska Cornhuskers football team. His name was somehow synonymous with heating and air conditioning. And that's who he was a spokesperson for, which is great. It's like, so he's there in his jersey and he's making a commercial, but his name fit into HVAC.
Yeah.
Which was cool, which I think that's kind of how they always thought that it was going to be, was that I can be a spokesperson, I can be have a sponsor, I can do whatever. But I think that it's blown up from there to the point that who was the cat that just left school, went to UCLA and didn't get as much money as Tennessee.
What's his name?
I don't remember.
Oh, but it's crazy though.
But there has to be a cap, right? Like, so you can't leave college and have 10 mil. I know that might be a crazy. You're right. That'd be the top 1%, but you can't even leave college and have $900,000 that you made in 4 years.
Right.
And then you're like, all right, now I'm going to the NFL. I'm already have a whole bunch of money already. It kind of ruins like the sanctity of, you went there for 4 years, and it was when you were a little kid and you were like, I want to go to the National Football League. That was the top tier.
Right.
No, if you're making that much money for the good players, you get done with college and you're like, well, I made $2 million in 4 years.
Yeah. The NIL also goes into high school. Okay. There are states.
How does that work?
Well, it's still, you can make money, and different states have some different laws as to how that works and how it looks. But there are high school players that are making some money. I mean, now they're big name players. Okay.
Sure.
But again, think of where our high school football powerhouses are: Texas, Florida, California, even, these places where IMG Academy, these places where these players go. All right. They're getting money where we used to say, oh, the booster, Friday Night Lights. You see all these things, right? On movies and TV and stuff.
Well, if that's the case, then then just think about this. And this is what I'm talking about, like too much money for some kids. People can't handle that. So what if you're giving the number one prospect in the United States of America, quarterback, going into college, and he made $300,000 in high school. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then what kind of person are you in college when you think, heck, I already made it. I made $300,000, and I, like, not a lot of people have $300,000 in their bank account as normal American.
Well, right.
And some 17-year-old kids like, I'm going to college with $300,000 in my bank account. So what happens if sophomore at Michigan is like, all right, I'm making this little bit of NIL money, but I think I can make a little more here. So then that goes in the transfer portal to where I'm going to transfer to a different school where I think I can make a little more money because I might be a better running back at that school than I currently am here. And instead of, I'm going to wait one more year and see if I can get better and be the man at Michigan.
Yeah.
You know what? Nope. I'm going to transfer over because they need it. I'm going to transfer over to the Buckeyes and make sure that I can run there and make a little more money and be a running back there. It kind of ruins like the truth about college football, because you don't know if someone gets drafted or if someone goes to Michigan now, they're not going to be there in 4 years the way things are going.
Right.
No one's staying in the same school. It kind of ruins college football in that aspect where you don't know. It's just like the NFL at that point. Who's going to be where next year?
Yeah.
But see, the way they control it in the NFL is through contracts.
Yeah, but that's not happening.
I know, but I think that's where we got to go. If in college with NIL money is some type of a contract that incentivizes an athlete to stay at a place for 2 years or 4 years or whatever, based on whatever.
Well, and you kind of hope, like I was saying, that would be the impetus for somebody to stay.
Yeah. Which would that would affect your transfer portal issue.
But this is kind of like what you said, Chuck, and it's like, I think you shared this with me. It's like the grass is only greener where you water, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So they keep thinking, oh, it's going to be better if I go over here because I'm going to get more money. But it doesn't happen that way. I think the other thing that I fall back on with that portal part, which this is where I get kind of pissed off, because I think that the portal, I think that it's working its way down to the point where the commitment to the program and playing the course of holding the course and going, like Danny said, I'm going to stay another year because I want to be the guy. I want to be the guy at running back. I want to be the left tackle. I want to be the linebacker. And that guy that's in front of me, I'm better than he is. I know I can beat him out. I know I can do it. They get into strong competition. Coaches encourage that competition by not saying, you're going to be my starting quarterback for the next 4 years.
But I think one of the reasons we're in this spot is because so many people have screwed so many people over the years. Like, you get a coach who, abuses or maybe overuses a particular athlete and is looking at the W's of his program instead of looking out for the health of that particular player. And
I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
And so, you have these things that have gone on over the years, and it causes that mindset. Well, I'm going to get mine when I can.
But I think that's more of a high school problem than a college problem.
I think you look at, in my opinion, you look at RG3. Yeah, RG3 out of Baylor. The way he was treated, I think, at Washington, overused, ended up getting injured.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they didn't care anything about his health. Honestly, it didn't seem like it. And now he's out of the league and can't play anymore. Busted.
But what's he doing?
He was an announcer.
He's announcing.
Yeah,
he's not hurting. He's not like, he ain't selling used cars.
No.
You look at the money.
He makes some great suits too.
You look at the money he could have made over a career.
Yeah.
It definitely impacted his.
But I think that it does still take away. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I think that there definitely have been coaches and people over time that have taken the athlete and their best interest and put it on the back burner.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to just, I want to win, or I want to do this, or whatever it is. We've all seen instances of that over the years. But I still think that, Danny, you've used this word twice tonight, and I love it just because you said it, was the sanctity of the game.
Oh,
okay.
I'm a vocalist. All right. Vocabulary.
You're a linguist. You're a linguist, Danny. And I've never said that before, so that's okay. So I'm not discounting the players. But I fear for the idea that we play into their dreams, their whatever they've thought about, dreamed about, like playing here or doing this, whatever. Hey, come here, kid, and do this, whatever it is. And they're already committed to somebody else. And they say, you know what? I'm leaving. I'm going to go there.
That's where I think contracts have to come into play, because I think there's going to be a payoff and an interest for both parties.
But think about it, though, Chuck. What is the real thing? Like, I think we've all said it on some level, but the idea is that you're going to college for a degree for free.
Yep.
You're getting a 4-year college degree from a D1 school.
That's not necessarily, I don't think that's what these athletes necessarily are going to college for.
Yeah, but it's a stepping stone that you have to do. You're not going from high school to the NFL, obviously. So it's a stepping stone. So you have to, I don't mean fall in line, but kind of fall in line and do what you're supposed to do and not make a bunch of money, because that's on the back end. So not to cut you off, but so also what does that do for coaching? So think about, just going back to what Luke said, and then not just for a minute here at high school. If some high school, let's say the best quarterback in high school started making his junior year $50,000 and his senior year $100,000, and the coach is like, you got to do this. Coach, I'm making $100,000 a year. What are you talking about? You make $10,000.
Because we've seen it at the college level already.
Yeah,
you see it at the pro level.
Yeah, and I was going from that, like the high school level. You have kids be like, what are you talking about? Going to the college level, I'm sure it's hard at the college level for coaches to be like, listen, hey Luke, you missed that. You missed that block, bud. If you miss that block again, we might have to look at someone else. Well, that's fine. I'll go somewhere else where they're not going to do that to me. Yeah. So that's what scares me about this money, to where some kids are going to get a little too much. I'll do whatever I want. And if you don't like what I'm doing and I don't like what you're doing, well, I'll just go somewhere else.
I think there's checks, and I think we saw it in the draft. I think there's checks in the system for that type of arrogance.
Like, we
definitely saw that.
But think about that for a second. Let's focus on it just for a second, because we don't want to take too much time on it. But the idea is, and if you talk to anybody, especially Mel Kiper Jr., who's probably going to get axed from ESPN for all his rants, but the idea is, you look at him as a quarterback. We're going too far into sports here, folks, I know. Great quarterback, great athlete, does his thing. But, when you look at quarterbacks, holds the ball too long, doesn't take throws balls that he shouldn't, leaves a lot on the table. Like, he doesn't take the passes, the easy ones that he should, doesn't take his checks, does his thing. They see that. Right. But they ranked him high. Okay. I think personally, just my personal opinion, this is not factual of any sort, even though usually what I say is golden. But the idea is that I think they ranked him too high to start with. And they're retiring his number for a 500 record. And it's crazy to me, but kids see that. And like you said, they're not going to college for the degree.
Right.
Like you said, they're going to get themselves out of a situation.
It's like a minor league baseball.
But the idea is that I think that's where we have failed as either parents or educators or as coaches, to say, look at what's going on here, because you are one hit away from your career being done. But if you go to this school and your sophomore year, you blow your knee out, you're still going to get your education, because they're going to honor it. You've got a 4-year scholarship. Yeah. You're going to get it, and you're still going to be a winner.
But the way it's set up is, with the NIL money, they'll also get their money.
Well, I understand that. And that's what I'm saying, is that I think that the emphasis still needs to be on the importance of what they are receiving besides the NIL money. I mean, that's the thing. Now I've got guys, players, athletes, student athletes. I shouldn't keep student athletes.
Agreed. That's a big one to worry about.
We have to keep saying it, and we stopped saying it a while ago. I still struggle sometimes at school. Like, I have to say that, and you have to. You are a student first. You're an athlete second. Yep. Okay?
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that the athlete part isn't putting food on the table. I'm not saying that. But the idea is that with the athlete part, your window could break any day. And you know what? If you don't even have a piece of wood to put over the window, you're screwed.
Yeah. So here in theory, let's talk in theory, right? In theory, if a student athlete goes to one of these Power 5, gets a mega NIL deal, they've got the money. they get their knee blown out sophomore year, their career's finished. They still got the money.
Career as a football player.
Career as a football player. But they would still have the money to come back and get that education. They don't need a scholarship at that point because they got the money to pay for the education. But I guess
what the thing is with me, Chuck, is that, and I hear what you're saying, but the idea would be is that if it wasn't placed as important for them before the fact, what all of a sudden is going to make it important after it?
But we've created this mechanism by putting all of this money into it and not allowing any of these players to get access to that money. We tell them
college kids.
Yeah, I know.
But how many other college kids? So what about the college kid that's right? And not to degrade what you're saying, but what about the college kid that's a super smart kid at Harvard and he graduates from college and then becomes some dude at NASA or some dude that does something great and invents a great thing? How we're not talking about giving him millions of dollars because he's going to work at NASA. How many times hey, you're going to be a NASA worker, so here's all this money so you can be smart and try and what makes an athlete so important that he gets?
Because of the money that the schools and the industry of athletics is making off of his name and his ability to play. I think that's what makes him unique.
I mean, I hear you, but it's a slippery slope because I would back that up to say that the idea is that if you have, I mean, Danny put it nicely, if you got a brainiac, a kid who's just off the charts, and let's say he's in whatever it is.
Cures cancer. How come he doesn't get?
The idea is that they are still, in these schools, a lot of them, they're still making money off the research and things that are based on what maybe this kid in their department in biology or whatever it's in are making off of the backs of the kids that are doing the research and doing their thesis and all this stuff and figuring stuff out. It's different money. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it's
I'm not saying, but still,
a lot different.
Yeah. But still, it's the idea that I think, and the one thing that you said, Chuck, that I do agree on is that we've put this into place.
Yeah.
I don't mean like me and you. I mean that just
but
in
you guys
general.
don't have the money to put.
I definitely haven't. I need a gallon of urethane if anybody has one for me. But the idea is that I think that we've made it less important. We've downplayed the importance of what that education does for you and what it can do for you. All right. And I know that everybody's not a 4-year college guy. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
Some guys, are trade school guys. There's all sorts of, avenues for people to go. But I don't want to ever, because this is what we're in. We're in education. The idea is that, listen, we're here to make sure that you have a future that's solid for you and your family, for everybody. Okay. The athletics part might bump your bank account up and you can do something with it, and that's great. But you know what? That money's going to run out.
Here's a thought. So you have this high school outstanding athlete, number 1 rated in the country, right? So you have this kid who doesn't know much about finances, doesn't know how the bills are paid because he's just not lived in that world. But we're telling him to go to a school and to be happy with a, I don't know, $400,000. Let's say it's $400,000 education, depending upon where you go, $250,000, $400,000, $500,000, whatever.
Sure.
Be happy with that. All the meanwhile, there's the school and all of these other people that are making multi-millions of dollars by putting him on the screen every Saturday and him playing lights out. Is that fair?
And again, I'm not disagreeing with you. I just think that we've said it a couple times. There needs to be some sort of a cap. There needs to be some sort of a thing that says, hey, we completely understand that you are helping us with our financial goals to provide programs for our whole school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're going to give you this. We're going to give you X amount or whatever it is, or we have a donor that's going to give you X amount. Whether that's $100,000, whether it's $200,000, whatever it is. I don't know what the number is.
Yeah.
I'm not here to argue the number. It's just the idea to say, and I don't disagree with you at all. I really don't. It's just the idea that it needs to be something where it's not the wild, wild west.
Yeah, a ridiculous amount of money.
Because that takes away what, just 5 years ago, before this really got into it, everybody was talking about, because of scholarships and everything else, there was parity coming back to college football. That's going to go away again.
Yeah.
Look at the Power Five already. Look at the Power Five is already miles ahead. Look at the SEC, the Big Ten. Everybody is just miles ahead of these other D1 schools.
Yeah.
They're miles ahead.
Yeah.
And the idea is that we can't, and I think it's a bad lesson for kids, because it's like whoever's got the more money wins. That's really what it comes down to, which is not a great lesson to teach kids.
Yeah.
I don't think, because if you're ever in the spot where you don't have the most money, well, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
I don't know what else to do. I don't have anything else. I don't know anything else. I don't know another way.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like you look at some of the, it happens in entertainment. Look at the kids who were child actor stars, right? It's the same thing. They grew up in that lifestyle where they were like the G, and they knew once they got old and they don't look the part anymore.
Kick them to the curb.
Yeah. I mean, what do you do? And you hate that college athletes might go that way. And I love the idea, even though half of them might turn the volume off when I do it. But the guys that, and women that do these sports that then become announcers, some of them I love, because you can tell they had the passion for the sport and they know what they're talking about. Other ones, you can tell when they talk, no, there's a kid with a journalism degree that could do better than they are.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you all know who those people are. And I
Right.
turn the volume down and I turn the radio on when those guys are on.
Right.
I just can't handle it. But I think my concern is most of it.
Are you talking about Tony Romo?
Maybe.
Yeah, he's a horrible
Maybe.
guy.
Maybe.
No, I'm kidding. Bad.
I think that
We can edit that out.
No, we're leaving that one. I think that it's more of the thing for me as it trickles down, because everything trickles down just like it did when we were kids. You know,
Right.
people saw things that Jordan did and whoever, like the shorts, everything happens, right? All these things that trickle down and kids see it. And it's like, you know what? Right now, you're in high school football. You're in Friday Night Lights. This is your opportunity to just shine. Have fun with your friends and get out there and do it and work your butts off. Whether you're playing volleyball, whether you're running cross country, whatever it is, you're playing tennis. All these kids that we see at our school and doing this stuff, it's like, guess what? This is your shot right here.
Yeah.
And we still want them to think that, right? We still want them to have the
Believe
dream
that.
says, hey, you know what? I could be that. I could do that. Great. Then work your butt off to get there.
Right.
Don't wait for the handout.
Yeah.
Don't wait for the handout.
Yeah. It goes right back to what I said at the beginning of this. The guard at Michigan, who's a 11th grader, he's like, next year I'm starting. Yeah, but if we no, I'm not going to try and beat Chuck out for the guard position. I'm going to go to a different school where I know I'm going to play.
Yeah.
What happened to beating Chuck out or beating Luke? I'm going to beat Luke out this year, and I'm going to be the starting guy.
But see, what you said there is that why do they think in the first place that they're going to go over here to this school and be the starter? It's because someone
told them. Yes,
Yeah.
some
which
coach
is a
was like,
bunch of you know what.
and then
Yeah.
they get there and they're like, "Well, hey,
Yeah.
bud, you ain't starting, but you'll be good second string."
Yeah.
That's just how it works.
I mean, we've all seen kids that have gone to another school and have watched from the sideline. When they could have been in our school playing every Friday night, doing their thing,
Yeah.
having a great time, making lifetime memories with their buddies.
Right.
Like, you know, all of us have those memories
Right.
of, you know, Chuck showed me pictures of, we've all seen that stuff. And that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Is that, you know what, I was with my buddies and we did this and we did this. And you know what, maybe you weren't national champions or you weren't whatever it was. The idea is that you worked your butt off, you accomplished something,
Yeah.
and you made yourself a better person because of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it is.
Yeah. And the beauty of high school football, particularly for most people out there, for most football players out there, is the memories, right?
Yeah, the fun.
Yeah, like Luke was talking, you know, I remember playing football with, you know, Marco Coleman and William Coolwell McKinney and Lorenzo Redmond and Keenan Early and all those guys, man. We had an incredible time playing high school football, you know, and I think some of these other things for maybe some of the elite athletes can kind of cloud
Yep.
that issue,
fun,
right?
like the real life fun of it. Yep.
And I just wonder if we have to, like, if we're reacting to something when you talk about NIL in high school, if we're reacting to something that maybe, I don't know if we'll see in our context or not.
As is normally the case, we come up with a quote, I come up with something. And I think I struggled with it a little bit because there's so many that are there. But desire is the key to motivation, but it's determination and commitment to an unrelenting pursuit of your goal. It's a commitment to excellence that will enable you to attain the success you seek. So whether that player is just bent on the money or making their family in a better position, whatever that is, it's still about the hard work. It's still about the commitment and that pursuit of excellence that does it. It's not just, hey, that guy over there said I can do better, or I can make more, or I can, whatever it is. Okay. The idea is to accept what's in front of you, take it as an opportunity, work your butt off, and show everybody around that you're good enough to do it, and to show yourself. We see a lot of people that don't have that self-esteem, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they have a lower self-esteem, or they don't think well about themselves, but that's a huge builder for themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that I played some college football to me is a great thing in my life. It's like, hey, there's a lot of people that don't do that, that got the opportunity. And I luckily was blessed to get the opportunity. Right. Came from hard work. I mean, one of my college coaches said, you're not at all one of the best athletes I've ever seen. But you work hard.
Worker.
Yeah.
It's just, that's the thing. And I think that quote, even from him, stuck with me because it's like, you don't have to be the best.
Hard work, mediocrity outlast and will outdo lazy talent any day of the week.
Look at this guy.
And don't you talk to me like that, Coach.
Hey, you know what, Danny? Thanks for being here today.
Yeah,
You're the best. I mean, we can we'll put you on the list to come back.
Fun.
Chuck, appreciate it. John, we missed you, but you know what? Hopefully you're feeling better, and we'll have you back. We'll be ready to go. Great time today. Yeah. Fun. It was a little different topic, but it was good. We like it. We talk about anything.
That's all right. Yeah, you guys are okay.
Yeah. He's a good guy. He's not half century, but he's close.
Yeah.
He's close.
Yeah.
Well,
half century, I would assume, is 50.
You took advanced math, didn't you?
Getting out of here. We'll see you guys later, and we'll see you next time we get together to hang out.
Peace out.
Peace out.